my name is Marc Mcloughlin. I'm the MD of a business called Key Fleet. We help businesses with their company vehicles. Started the business back in 2008. So yeah, we've just been trading a little over 14 years. I was actually aware of Andy from when he was running an IT business in Burnley. So I was aware of him as an individual, and I probably only met Andy a few years ago when he came away from that kind of corporate world and started Success GPS. And we hit it off straight away. Andy's, a lot of fun, and he enjoys business, so we had a lot in common, and we have a lot of mutual friends, and we've become friends ourselves as well, obviously through working together and spending a bit of time together socially. So yeah, probably knew Andy for a few years, but it's probably been this last couple of years that we've been doing some business together. What initiated the business together, really, I would say, is that I was hearing good things about what Andy was doing, and I felt that we needed someone like Andy to help us a little bit with our direction and our focus and our accountability a little bit. I think it's quite easy in business to just do things without any particular end goal in mind. And we'd set goals before, but I think one of the unique things about what Andy does on Success GPS is it's not some huge unachievable goal that's coming 20 years down the line. You might have one of those, but it's also brought back into smaller pieces. So I knew that was the type of thing that Andy could do. I felt like as though he could get us to collaborate as a board as well and bring some good ideas together and put some timelines against things and also create a little bit of accountability. So I think a combination, in summary, of us recognizing that we had a need and hearing good things about what Andy was doing, and also liking the guy as well, because if you're going to invite somebody into your business at that level to have some influence, you need to like each other. Well, I would say that what made his style of coaching different, I don't know if it's Andy's style of coaching, albeit Andy is a unique individual. I really buy into the system that he's created. He's systemized a way of getting individuals. I mean, something that always stuck with me with Andy was that he always said that he very rarely teaches anybody anything. He just kind of helps them to get it out of themselves and get out their own way a little bit and put a little bit of structure behind things that they perhaps already know. So, but I think the unique thing really about what Andy has done for us is the systemized nature in which he goes through those stages of understanding where you're at currently, where you want to be, what that would mean to you. In fact, this is probably quite unique. The idea of getting you to think about what it would mean to you as individuals and as a team to achieve or not achieve these goals within a specific time frame. I mean, when Andy first came into our business, myself, Dave and Janet effectively formed the board at that time. I'm not saying which ones it was, but there was 2 out of 3 of us who were having a little bit of a cry because he really asked us to think individually about why we work, what we're looking to get out of our careers, where we've come from, where we're trying to go to. So yeah, that was something new for us. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Andy the person, but I think the system that he's created within the GPS product is really quite impressive. From the process, the way that he helped us identify where we wanted to go to, I think was first understanding where we were at the moment. Second, really drilling down into what our preferred type of work was to do, who our ideal client was, where we made the most money as well, of course. So it's a case of trying to understand where you offer the most value, but also derive the most value from as a business, and getting you to focus on that. And then through that process of working with us on those questions, it was to identify that, look, if we did our best work with our best clients at this pace and we grew at this pace, how long would it take us to get to our destination? And we came out of there with what is now probably an 8-year goal, which was to, I mean, it won't mean much to the people who are watching this, but it was what we perceived to be our absolute perfect client, which is what we call a partner, a Key Fleet partner, which is where they're fully committed to us for all their vehicle needs. It was 500 of those. And we started the journey with Andy where we had probably 5 of them. Now we probably still only have a reasonably modest number of those, and we've got many years to go to get to that ideal position. But the key thing for us from the second session, the follow-up that we did, was that just absolutely getting us to focus on the most profitable and the most valued work for our clients, and actually getting us to stop doing some things as well, because there's a temptation in business to try and be all things to everybody, and I felt as though we'd eradicated much of that, but there seemed there was 1 or 2 more layers that we could go through to arrive at the right type of client. So yeah, it was understanding where we are, where we wanted to get to, and then putting those milestones in place to get there. And since our last session at Christmas, we've been extremely busy and outperforming any of the kind of milestones that we wanted to to achieve. We initially had Andy come and see us perhaps 18 months ago when we did the Success GPS program, and we didn't quite get as far as we should have done. Perhaps it was COVID, whatever it would have been, but we still felt as though there was a little bit more that we needed some help from Andy with, and it was all around that focus, the commitment, the accountability. If you go back to maybe August, September last year, my colleague Dave, who's our sales director, Dave was adamant, said, look, we need to get Andy in for another follow-up session, because we'd spent 2 years doing everything we needed to do to, consolidate and keep things on an even keel in the business during a difficult trading period. But we'd actually just lost a little bit of focus on those high value, better clients, and where we did our best work. So we got Andy in and we shared that problem with him. And it was in the context of saying, you helped us with the plan originally. We've kind of just lost our way of touch with during the COVID period. Can you help us get back on track? So we were very quickly able to get up to the ideal client where we want to go point. But in particular, Andy helped us with a lot of the detail around, look, guys, this is what you need to build in terms of an internal system in your company in order to execute this type of work for these clients. So we focused a lot around the skill set of the team, how we're going to recruit and what we need to recruit. A big portion of the work was done around attracting clients and onboarding clients. In our business, which is managed company vehicle schemes, essentially, how they are onboarded and implemented is absolutely key. And Andy's got a really good eye for that type of stuff, having run a big business and got the system in place with Success GPS. So I can't show you my wall here, but we had whiteboards and post-it notes all over these two walls in our boardroom here, with all different stages of the not only the customer journey, but the things that we needed to create to meet that customer requirement. So it might be customer signs the contract, then what happens? Who does it go to? How do we communicate back to the customer? And what information do we need from them? Where does that go? What system are we going to use? Who's going to handle the next stage? So we really went into a finite detail. I think we probably spent 2 or 3 days actually in this second section. And we kept the post-it notes up for quite a long time because we were using them as references, and each of us was allocated particular responsibilities to fulfill different parts of it. Even now, the operational side of the plan, and there's a people plan, there's a marketing plan, there's different parts of it. The people side of it is something that we've put in place, but also the operational side. We're still not actually fully completed that yet because it is a work in progress. It's going to involve some small investment in our IT. It's going to involve a change in our CRM system. So there was no stone left unturned, really. We went through every part of the customer journey, every part of the operational needs. I mentioned the people planner earlier. That was an interesting kind of anecdote, if you will, because he said to us, what's our people plan? How do our people feel? Because there's no point us running a million miles down the road if our people aren't with us and they don't feel bought into the vision and they're on board with where we're trying to go. And also, what does it mean for them? And we kind of said, well, look, our people are great. We've got a lovely culture in the business and what have you. But we challenged that a little bit and we quickly realized that, we are nice people and we do nice things and we have nice conversations, but it's all a little bit ad hoc and it's not on purpose. So little things like with the people plan, we got everybody to give us information about their kind of wants and needs, things that incentivize them, etc. And it's only a little thing, but we started giving everybody like really personalized birthday gifts, and we started celebrating milestones and disseminating communication from the board a lot better than what we used to do. So it was really thorough, created like a blueprint for our business in many respects. I mean, obviously Andy doesn't get super involved in which CRM you're going to pick or which marketing firm you might use, but it's the principle of all this and creating the plan for the entire business. And I dare say we might ask Andy for a bit more support going forward when we get to certain points in the plan. But I would say that, I'll tell you an interesting fact. In our 14 years of trading, March was our biggest ever sales revenue month. And then that was closely followed by April this year, which beat it. And I would put a large part of that down to Andy getting us focused around Christmas time on doing our best work for our best clients. And I'm so glad that we got him in because it was exactly what we needed. Yeah, I guess the way we feel now, having gone through the process with Andy, is we feel more purposeful, I would say, not in what we're trying to, our purpose as a business, but we have a clear plan as to what each of us needs to do to get to where we're trying to get to. And it's also, when you have got a clear plan like that, it also gives you a reference point when you do get distracted or you get your head turned onto some other works, because it's very easy to start doing something else or go down a different avenue. You can very quickly bring yourself to the plan and say, is this helping us execute this plan? Because if it isn't, we're going further away from us achieving our goal. So there's a lot of time spent on, is this actually the goal? How much do we want this? Do we have a desire to achieve? And if we have, are we all bought into that this plan is the way that we're going to do that? And therefore, any other activity that we've got going on, whilst there'll always be things you need to do in your business day to day, but any other activity we've got spinning new plates is not helping us get where we need to get to. So we've had record results since Andy came to see us at Christmas, as you said. Yeah, we're anticipating that will continue. March and April were exceptional for us. We'll do very well to get there again in May and June. But we're fortunate that not only have we now got a really robust plan for moving forward, we also work in an industry where there's a once in a career opportunity with the electrification of transport. So I think Andy as well enjoyed working with us on that, because it's quite an interesting topic and something meaty to get your teeth into, so to speak. But yeah, we've got high growth plans. I think I know that the 10-year plan that we put together with Andy essentially was kind of 10x the business over that. And we go from kind of supplying 500 to 1,000 vehicles per annum to between 6,000 and 7,000 vehicles once we achieve our objectives. But again, we've got milestones in between that, and I can't stress that enough, that the big sexy goal in 10 years is fab, but the reason why a lot of people don't get there is they run out of steam at year 2, year 3, year 4, and they actually kind of forget what the goal was anyway. So with Andy, to have the kind of 90-day plan, 6-month plan, annual plan has really given us a lot of focus as well. And another thing it sparked us to do was outsource non-core activities to professionals. So since we've engaged Andy's services, which I guess you would call an example of that in itself, we've actually outsourced our IT, our HR, we've outsourced our compliance, because we're an FCA regulated firm as well, and we've outsourced a number of small other things as well. And it's just meant that we as a team can focus on our best work with our best clients and just work towards that goal. And we shared the goal with the team as well. So that was really important. It's not just something that's at board level. We made sure that everybody knows where we're trying to get to. And in fact, every team meeting that we have or online get together, the first slide after the cover slide, I'd say a lot of that is down to focusing on those right types of clients, that right type of work, but also as a team committing to each other that we were going to fulfill our part in that process. It's probably easier to say, yes, I'll get to it at some point with your colleagues, but when somebody external comes in and they're skilled and credible like Andy is, and you've invested in a system in order to achieve this, then it's the commitment level of making sure that you follow through on what you're going to do. And and Andy again helps us with that follow through as well, with regular follow-up meetings as well. Is reminder of the 10-year every single time. To be any coach, you have to be credible and capable. But going back to the credibility, Andy's comfortable in that boardroom environment. He knows how to organise that meeting in a way to get the best out of the people in it. We were very much led by Andy. Again, I think he was there to guide rather than teach. He was very keen for us to get there ourselves, but with his expert guidance. So that certainly, was very helpful for us. And I honestly believe as well, Andy's done such a good job of creating the system that if you have a credible coach at that level that's comfortable in a boardroom, that can adopt and execute that platform that he's created in the GPS system, I think, you're in a good place. And I think that'd be effective for a lot of people. And it's not just, I don't think it's large, small, medium-sized businesses. I think for me, it's because all businesses are the same, just more or less zeros on the turnover, I guess. It's just about, if you need to focus, get a goal, create some accountability, be a bit more specific. I think a big thing as well for these people coming into these companies is the franchisee would need to be ready to challenge what people think about their business, because a lot of people are trying to do a lot of things for a lot of different types of clients. And I think one of the skills in a like Andy or someone executing the GPS system is to get them to think about if that's the right type of business for them, or are they doing it the right way? And that might be a company that's been trading for 20 years that's had some reasonable success. And the answer might be, well, yes, you can continue with the reasonable success, or if you focus in this area, or you do more of this, or you do less of another area, that might be the thing that takes you from 3 million to 30 million a year. And that's been really good with Andy. I think a franchisee he's got to be forthright and has to be willing to challenge, but you also need some empathy, because I would imagine it takes quite a lot of patience, certainly in the early parts of those exchanges, to get people in a position where, one, they might be open up, share, be self-reflective, and be prepared to change opinions about certain things. So yeah, and I think for what comes across very clearly with Andy is he isn't there for the money per se. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure he wants to run a profitable enterprise. I would say he's a very purpose-driven person, and he very much wants to. I think Andy would like it if he could come and work with all those businesses every day, every week, because he gets very involved, and you think of him as like an extension of your team in many respects, and you do become friends. And he does. I don't think Andy would take any work on if he didn't like the people and believe that they were a purpose-driven business. If they were just a business that was just out for profit and not having a positive impact in the community or the staff or anything like that, I don't think he'd work with them. I mean, if we hadn't got Andy in at Christmas, we'd have still been paddling our canoe round in circles.